Read the Documents live stream. Your host, John Brissett. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you want to support my work, buy me a coffee/We've Read. If you want to subscribe to my work, search We've Read the Documents on Patreon, Odyssey, or Substack. Substack gives you the greatest access to my work. It has my written work there, my Spotify link to listen to my shows in podcast form as well. Hope everybody's doing well. God bless you. Okay, so here is a blog that I wrote on the Council for National Policy on the Iran-Contra affair. And today we're going to start the show talking about Erik Prince and Oliver North, right? So here I want to show that Oliver North, it is well known that Erik Prince was a Council for National Policy member. So is his sister, Betsy DeVos, who was Secretary of Education under the last Trump administration, is also Council for National Policy member. The DeVos family were influential in the foundation of the Council for National Policy. So here we have a letter from Ronald Wilson Reagan, who was also Council for National Policy member, discussing that he was getting briefings about the Iran-Contra affair, at CNP meetings. And here is an article in the Washington Post saying that, discussing a CNP meeting that Oliver North was attending and giving a briefing about the Iran-Contra affair to Council for National Policy members. So, it wasn't just about national policy. I guess it was also about international policy, right? CNP, a bunch of liars. So I just wanted to show, bring receipts about what we're talking about today. You can read the blog for more information and for links and stuff like that and everything. So, just to give an idea of Erik Prince, and I've talked about Erik Prince a lot on this channel and my issues with Erik Prince, the former founder of Blackwater. Blackwater supposedly no longer exists anymore, is morphed into Academy, maybe morphing into something else. Okay, so here, I'd covered this, that Erik Prince had helped train Council for National Policy member, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name, Project Veritas, James O'Keefe. So James O'Keefe visited Erik Prince's ranch in Wyoming, and it was facilitated through Foster Friess, who was former president of the Council for National Policy. I've done episodes exposing Foster Friess and his connections to Kanye West and the Council for National Policy alleged pedophile Ali Alexander, who's currently allegedly being investigated for grooming boys. It's all, I've covered the Council for National Policy stronghold of the state of Wyoming. Okay. And so James O'Keefe was getting being trained, and there's pictures of James O'Keefe posting at Erik Prince's ranch. So they were Erik Prince was help training, and his group were help training the Project Veritas operatives. Okay, just kind of like a throwback. Here. Documents reveal Erik Prince's $10 billion plan to make weapons and create a private army in Ukraine. Now, this was, at the twilight of the Trump administration, and yes, we're told that, Biden is, who platforms Zelensky. Biden is who, embezzled all this money to Ukraine. Well, the original possible plan was that, Trump, through Erik Prince, was going to be the one who, runs through Blackwater training of the Ukrainian army under Zelensky. Okay. So now, of course, that didn't, come to fruition that we know of. Instead, the plan was turned down. Trump was not selected. Instead, Biden won the election. And so we kind of had like this, transition. And, looking back, we understand now, right? And I've talked about it on this channel of why that happened. A lot having to do with ODS and OTK and Biden appearing to be incompetent. In reality, the people around him, still working contracts with various oligarchs, right? Elon Musk was providing Starlink to Ukraine. He was still getting subsidies and government contracts under the Biden administration. Palmer Luckey, through Anduril Industries, was getting multiple contracts to develop drones in the virtual border wall under the Biden administration. Okay, so the technocrats still profit under the Biden administration for sure. Okay, but this is quite interesting. This kind of defeats the Trump, Putin, Ukraine story on both sides, right? Because if they pulled the trigger on the plan that Trump was to remain in power, then he would have been president in a war with Ukraine, with Blackwater over there, supporting Ukraine, Starlink supporting Ukraine, Elon Musk still supporting Ukraine over Russia, right? So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting to to go back and look and see what may have been but was not. Okay. And then here we have Trump White House weighs plans for private spies to counter deep state enemies. Blackwater founder Eric Prince and former CIA paramilitary officer and Oliver North want to make 80s style covert action great again. Now, I've covered this on this channel. So they really wanted to work with Eric Prince, Oliver North, working directly with CIA Director, Deep Stater Mike Pompeo, ultra-Zionist, okay, to form some sort of secret police because they couldn't trust the government, okay? The people within the intelligence community undermining Donald Trump's presidency, right? So now we have Oliver North working directly with Eric Prince, okay? All right, so now we can prove that they worked together, that they brought Trump a plan for some sort of secret police, some sort of Stasi, okay? So, let's continue. I'm building a case. Against Eric Prince. I've already built a case against Oliver North. I've talked about my issues with Eric Prince in various streams here on this channel. You can go back and look at patriots.win.exe with my issues with Eric Prince's phone, and I bring up my issues with Eric Prince and his conversation with Council for National Policy member Stephen Ketamine Bannon back then. Okay. Trump allies circulate mass deportation plan calling for processing camps and a private citizen army. Wow. So we have the deputization of a private citizen army, which would circumvent posse comitatus, or the ability of the American military to operate on civilian soil. So that's a way of getting around that. So we have processing camps, a private citizen army full of Blackwater, quote-unquote, contractors and contractees. Wow, this sounds exactly like the plan for Rex 84, which would make this Rex 2025, right? The final completion of the so-called FEMA camps. But it won't be done under FEMA because Trump is getting rid of FEMA, supposedly, allegedly, right? So it won't be done by the government, but it'll be done by kind of like this private government, private-public partnership. So it'll be done under Blackwater contractors who committed horrific atrocities in the Middle East, people that are not beholden to the laws of the United States government, and will be able to run processing camps and even deputize private citizens to help with the deportations and running these camps, right? So this is technically Rex 2025. And you cut out FEMA and you say, well, the government's corrupt. The government can't run anything. Okay, we're going to have to use AI to replace the government. People like Days of Noah are talking about that. Kind of using Curtis Yarvin, Mince's Molebugs kind of like policy to just completely dismantle and nuke the government and fire everybody, and then technocrats come in and replace with artificial intelligence because human beings are flawed and corrupt. Okay, not like AI is made in the image of man and it's far worse than the corruption of human beings who are made in the image of God. We are sinners. We are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like further removed. Like AI is far more corrupt. Far more, some people can even say the beast in the machine, right? Satan in the machine, right? AI is far more corrupt than human beings could ever be, right? So, Yeah, Nika asks, is a private citizen army like a mercenary group? Yeah, it's a deputized mercenary group. We're going to talk about something I've warned about on this channel that I've covered. We're going to talk about deputization. We're going to talk about a bounty system. And I've covered letters of marque and reprisal, right? Like we're fighting cartels, but it's going to be like pirates, okay? Like fighting against the pirates, okay? With letters of marque and reprisal, okay? I've talked about that. All right. So this is readiness exercise 2025. If this happens, now, do I think it's going to happen? I think it's likely it's going to happen. I've talked about on this channel, the coming camps, right? The coming wellness camps that RFK Jr. is talking about. Trump's talked about putting homeless people in camps. We have legals in camps, homeless people in camps, drug addicts in camps. Who else? Who else is going to the camps? Are we going to stand up and rile? Are we going to stand up and rile against the deportation of illegal immigrants in this manner, where they're literally having Blackwater, round them up in massive amounts and putting them in camps and supposedly, allegedly deporting them? And American citizens, or stories of American citizens falling through the cracks and being deported or almost being deported. Are we gonna say anything then? Now, I'm not for illegal immigration, but I don't think the manner of what they're doing this and what they're setting up for is a good thing. Restrict an illegal immigrant's access, to funding, to access to reasons why they should come to this country in the first place, right? That's how you do it. You want to know how you do it? That's how you do it. But no, we're going to literally activate camps. And they're talking about activating camps inside military installations. And a private deputized citizen army, private contract mercenary groups, sending out hundreds of thousands of deportees a month. Will they be deported? Will the countries accept them back in that great amounts? Do we even know if these people just, God forbid, dare I say, just get eliminated? Because Trump's talked about the illegal immigrants. Trump's talked about the homeless. And I've talked about his plan with the homeless. Putting them in camps, giving them jabby jabbers. Okay. And if they don't want to go in those camps, they don't want to live in these rehabilitation camps, that they get arrested and put in jail. And Trump's talked about, sending criminals to El Salvador. They talk about sending the worst, deporting our criminals to El Salvador. What? Why can't we house them here? We're the richest country in the world per GDP. We can't afford our own prisons? We have to send them to El Salvador? Like, none of this is constitutional. And I understand the elites, they don't follow the Constitution. Like, I get that, okay? But, we shouldn't be cheering this on. Yes, I'm against illegal immigration. I'm not cheering this on. Yes, I think that, the homeless should be helped, but not being put in rehabilitation camps with jabby jabs. And if they don't want to go in rehabilitation camps, then they go to jail. Instead of, feeding the homeless, clothing the homeless, have faith-based ministries working with them, working, through their mental health issues, working through their drug addictions, okay? Showing them that God loves them, preaching the gospel to them, because the gospel is automatically what hopefully changes a person's life if they believe and they become born again and they enjoy the Holy Spirit, right? But no, instead of, showing Christian love and charity, we're just going to put them in camps with jabby jabs and pharmacological medicine. And, it's not much different than what RFK Jr. said, right? With the drug addicts going to wellness camps, which is very similar to a scanner darkly. Okay, I've talked about this on this channel. So all of it connects. It all connects. So when are people actually going to stand up and say something about it? When are they going to speak about it? When are they going to when are they going to stand up and say, yes, I I've had loved ones who struggle with drug addiction or die from drug addiction. They need to get treatment. But sending them to a wellness camp, which, we know that the government Through the excellent reporting of Gary Webb and Dark Alliance, have a lot to do with drug trafficking to its own citizens. Pharmaceutical companies yoking up with the Central Intelligence Agency, right, and the United States military. So it's like, are they going to these camps, but they're going to be working on legal psychedelics to give people, like, it's a whole discussion. Like, I've done numerous shows, and I don't want to get into it here. There's enough about this, okay? I'm going to say, when are people actually going to speak out? All right, because this is literally Rex 80. This is Rex 2025. It's Rex 2025. All right, literally is what this is. If this comes to fruition with the talk of camps and all these people being put in camps, it's what it is. Okay? A group of prominent military contractors, including former Blackwater CEO Eric Prince, is pissed at Trump White House on a proposal to carry out mass deportations through a network of processing camps. On military bases, a private fleet of 100 planes and a small army of private citizens empowered to make arrests. The blueprint laid out in a 26-page document President Donald Trump's advisors received before the inauguration carries an estimated price tag of $25 billion and recommends a range of aggressive tactics to rapidly deport 12 million people before the 2026 midterms, including some that will likely face illegal and operational challenges, according to a copy obtained by Politico. The group, which includes some former immigration officials, is led by Prince, who has close ties to Trump and Bill Matthews, the former chief operating officer of Blackwater, the military contractor known for its role in providing security, training, and logistical support to U.S. forces in Iraq and Afghanistan during the War on Terror. The emergence of the proposal, marked unsolicited, is indicative of major hurdles the administration faces as it struggles to find the resources to fulfill Trump's ambitious deportation agenda. The administration's desire to make good on the signature campaign promise has created an opening for private contractors who see a rare area in which the Trump administration is likely to increase spending. Now, if I remember correctly, Executive Order National Emergency Cartels. Yes, so Trump signed an executive order designating cartels and other organizations as foreign terrorist organizations and especially designated global terrorists. Okay, and in addition, he also, through that executive order, declared a national emergency. So he could effectively, since he declared a national emergency at the southern border and could amend that to the whole entire United States of America, he could effectively then suspend posse comitatus, and then you have the camps and the deportations. The groundwork's already set there through the executive orders, okay? Could they be challenged through the court system? Yeah, but then it's going to go to the Trump Supreme Court, and I really don't think the CMP-controlled Trump Supreme Court is going to rule against them. I don't think so, not anymore, okay? Is this going to happen next month? Or we're seeing this? Probably not. Is this going to happen in 6 months? More likely. A year? More likely. Okay. But the way things are going, it could happen next month for all I know. Okay. So, the emergence of the proposal, marked unsolicited, is indicative of the major hurdles the administration faces as it struggles to find the resources to fulfill Trump's ambitious deportation agenda. The administration's desire to make good on the signature campaign promise has created an opening for private contractors. See a rare area in which Trump administration is likely to increase spending. Deporting 12 million people in 2 years required the government to inject nearly 500,000 illegal aliens per month, the document says. To keep pace with the Trump deportations, it requires 600% increase in activity. Is unlikely that the government could swell its internal ranks to keep pace with this demand. In order to process this enormous number of deportations, the government should enlist outside assistance. Top White House officials are having multiple conversations with military contractors, coinciding with Republicans' mad dash on Capitol Hill to secure more resources from the president's immigration crackdown. Immigration and Customs Enforcement increased arrests during Trump's couple of weeks in office, but the pace has been slowed, and arrests do not always equal deportations. The pressure campaign to rapidly increase the president's deportation numbers have already resulted in reassigning of top immigration officials as the administration faces a number of resource challenges, including a need for detention capacity for additional personnel. People want this stood up quickly and understand the government is always very slow to do things, said CMP Stephen Ketamine Bannon, who served in Trump's first term. Remains close to the president and is aware of the proposal. So he's aware of it. He knows of it. Of course he does. He's good friends with Eric Prince. He's platformed Eric Prince, of course. It's smart to start bidding out right now and get a feel of what else outside companies, contractors can do. It's not clear if the president has seen the plan, which has been circulating among Trump allies since December. Trump has vowed the mass deportations would begin on his first day in office, and a promise he has not kept. A White House spokesman, Kush Desai, said the administration remains aligned on committed to a whole government approach to securing our borders, mass deportation of criminal illegal migrants, and enforcing our immigration laws. While House officials received numerous unsolicited proposals from various private sector players, it is ultimately up to agencies responsible for carrying out the president's agenda to consider and sign contracts to advance their mission, Desai said. So instead saying, oh, Trump hasn't seen this, Trump doesn't know about this, he may or may not, okay, but it's really up to Pete Hegseth. It's really up to Tom Homan, okay, current director of ICE, right? Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense, right? It's really up to them to consider and sign contracts for whatever mission that needs to be. It's shifting the blame. It's not Trump. It's these people that are doing it for him. Okay. While I reached for comment, Matthews told Political, we have not been contacted by nor have we had discussions with the government since the white paper we submitted months ago. There's a zero show of interest or engagement with the government. We have no reason to believe there will be. So you could argue right then and there it stops. Like right then and there hasn't been discussion. This won't happen. Well, Politico reached out to them. Politico is considered left-wing propaganda rag, right, to the MAGA world. So if you're Eric Prince and you're entering some sort of private agreement, or the Trump administration is thinking about some sort of private agreement for you to do this, you wouldn't say, yeah, they reached out to us and we're going to do this. Huh? You wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm going to telegraph this to the world. We're doing it. We're doing it. It's happening. You would say, yeah, they're not thinking about it at all. They haven't heard nothing. Haven't heard a peep. So, of course, Prince declined to comment, and other contractors and former immigration officials listed as key personnel in the document also declined to comment or could not be reached. The founders of the new special entity called 2USV, so now we have Blackwater Academy 2USV, have a long history with the United States government. Blackwater was formed by Prince in 1996 to provide training service to law enforcement, military personnel, and other government agencies. It gained widespread attention for its work in Iraq and Afghanistan, providing security services for U.S. officials and military personnel, with critics viewing its rise as a result of the U.S. military's overextension in the Middle East. We also know that Eric Prince helped build the security for the Uyghur camps in China. Okay? Eric Prince is not our guy, all right? The military contractor came under scrutiny in 2007 following the Nasor Square massacre, when Blackwater contracts opened fire and killed 17 Iraqi civilians and wounded 20 others, raising questions about oversight and accountability of private contractors. Several contractors were charged with manslaughter, and 4 were convicted in 2014. Trump pardoned them at the end of his first term in December 2020. Trump's pardon was just one example of the influence of Prince's family during the first Trump administration. Betsy DeVos, Prince's sister, served as president's education secretary, while Prince uses Trump connections to chase business ventures in the United States and abroad. In 2018, he reportedly helped raise money for an effort to spy on progressives and Democratic organizations opposed to Trump. That's the secret police, Stasi. The former Blackwater CEO played a role in the 2019 MAGA crew effort along Bannon to privately build a wall along the United States southern border. Bannon recently pleaded guilty to a fraud charge related to the wall effort and avoided jail time. I had forgotten about that. So Eric Prince was a big part of the Build a Wall scandal. Bannon. They are really tight. And in 2020, he pitched a $10 billion plan for buying into Ukraine's military-industrial complex and hiring Ukraine combat veterans into a private military company. Talked about that. His later proposal reportedly argues the federal government does not have the resources necessary to fulfill the president's goal and offers a step-by-step plan for expanding the administration immigration enforcement capacity, from contracting a team to locate deportable migrants for deploying a fleet of 100 aircraft. The team said it will be necessary for 2 years to clear the legal population out of the nation. All right, so let me see. I remember it. I've been talking about this with Billy Ray Valentine and Jason from our guys for a while. What brought to my attention was Cernovich, who is tight with Eric Prince, at least platforming him at the very minimum, but they seem to be friends, or they seem to at least be in conversation with one another, had mentioned Eric Prince to help with cartel kidnappings. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that tweet. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Oh, they made it so hard to find stuff. Let me see. I really put it. Sometimes you put things in quotation mark. It refines the algorithm to search only for those specific things. But the search on X has gotten so bad. Let's see. By design, I would assume. Yeah, I'd have to find it for another show, but you can hear, I mean, at least you can see CERN. Air Prince needs to be activated July 13, 2024. Air Prince isn't at Mar-a-Lago yet, July 13, 2024. Time to bring in the real operators, Americans. Where we know the Air Prince addressed the coming Republican Congress. I'd cover that. So he's definitely working with the Trump administration. He may have deleted the tweet. I might still have it somewhere. I'll have to try to find it. But, he was talking about Air Prince needs to form some sort of paramilitary organization to rescue cartel kidnappings of American citizens and to go fight the cartels and stuff like that. So Cernovich is very much in with Prince. So that's how I knew that this was coming for about a year or two, because I've been seeing the trend with Cernovich. Okay. The pitch for rapid-fire deportations include a slew of suggestions that appear to ignore key facets of the nation's complex immigration laws. According to three former immigration and government officials who reviewed the proposal for Politico, the proposal recommends the formation of a screening team of 2,000 attorneys and paralegals, one of the several elements designed to streamline functions that would normally be in the government's hands. The team would determine whether individuals are eligible for deportation and refer them to the litigation team, for which the proposals recommend an additional 200 attorneys and paralegals to conduct mass hiring. So they have some sort of digital ID, and they're, adding that biometric system in, and they're going to probably say it's necessary to find out who's an American citizen and who's not. If you do that, then the AI would be blameless in a court of law, right? Because there's not strong laws associated with that. Maybe that's the way that they go. I don't know. To work with the deportation process expeditiously, TUSV recommends the government conduct mass deportation hearings. The document outlines a new legal process that hasn't been tested in the courts. Authors suggest they can maintain due process by publishing a public database. There we go, more data. To alert people of their immigration court hearings instead of through a notice to appear, a document that instructs an individual to appear before an immigration judge. So instead of being served, your name will just going to pop up on a public database. So, or they're going to track the IP addresses of who's checking these public databases and go arrest. This is a complete circumvention of due process. Now, I understand you could argue that illegal immigrants don't have, due process laws due to not being American citizens under the United States Constitution. But there does appear to be some legal framework in that you still served a notice to appear, right? Our justice system is still innocent until proven guilty, right? So, but these plans could face steep legal challenges on a number of fronts, threatening due process and ignoring existing positions established by Congress, including statutes and regulations for maintaining privacy, protections for migrating claiming asylum, said John Sedgwick, acting director of ICE from 2013 to 2014. The group also proposes forming a skip tracing team to use existing records to locate deportees by sponsoring a bounty program. There you go. I've talked about this, letters of marque and reprisal, which provides a cash reward for each illegal immigrant held by state or local law enforcement officers. So you have the bounty program, you have the deputization of American citizens, the private-public partnership of the military-industrial complex and the prison-industrial complex. Of course, the prison-industrial complex, private prisons being very pushed by the CNP and the Heritage Foundation in the 1980s. I've covered that. So, this is something here we have going on now, and then later you have letters of marque and reprisal being redone for the cartels, right? That could present potential legal hurdles because local officers in many states and cities do not have agreements to act as immigration officers. Proposal notes that it is unlikely the government could apprehend all of the 12 million illegal citizens without outside assistance and suggests deputizing 10,000 private citizens, including military veterans, former law enforcement officials, retired ICE and CBP officers, giving them expedited training in the same federal law enforcement powers of immigration officials. The document says the border deputies are trained. They will be under Homan's command. I don't see how you could do private sector deputized law enforcement enforcement officer, Sedgwick said, as subject to immediate injunction by a court. The proposal also details how the contractors would detain and repatriate people, noting they could have access to 49 planes ready to deploy. It also suggests a list of United States Army installations is the best place to build temporary camps that could stand up in less than 1 week. This proposal was submitted. The Trump administration has developed plans to use military sites for detaining undocumented immigrants across the country. There was no evidence this idea emerged for discussions with Prince Group. Of course. The management team of 2 USV includes individuals and companies that specialize in erecting temporary housing facility. The document says, in fact, this group has erected temporary camps from incoming Afghan refugees and for the USCBP. Okay. But scaling up the operation would take a great deal more resources, and the proposal ignores the efforts the issues the efforts would face, said Jason P. Hauser, former ICE chief of staff during the Biden administration. He projected it would be cost closer to $80 billion. There are no guaranteed countries would be willing to accept repatriation flights at this pace, or that other foreign leaders who have long refused to take back deported migrants would accept them all. It also ignores the political risk, he said. The idea of forcibly removing 12 million people from the United States is not just operationally impossible, it is a moral and economic catastrophe in the making, Hauser said. If the Trump administration moved forward with the bid, the group would be entering the already well-established and competitive network of contractors used by ICE. There are, however, rules in place to ensure the government is using taxpayer dollars in the most cost-effective and efficient manner. But a president's effort is designed to perform the entire mass deportations operation without competitive bidding process. The White House could potentially use its declaration of a national emergency to attempt to avoid that process. There you go. Aside from Prince and Matthews, other key personnel listed in the document, including former immigration officers and military contractors, retired ICE officials Robert Alfieri and Michael Somers, Dirk Totten, a decorated Army officer and former executive vice president for Gulfstream, Richard Pierre, a longtime military contractor and aviation expert who worked with Blackwater, Ken Chavez, the chief of police in Severance, Colorado, Louis Goburn, a military contractor who's worked closely with the Defense Department, and Douglas Brennan, who's worked with the United States government in several billion-dollar aviation firms. Prince and Matthews used the first several pages of the proposal to address why the White House should consider their bid, echoing Trump's rhetoric, including unsubstantiated claims that Democrats have used immigration to gain electoral advantage, that migrants commit more violent crime, and that illegal immigration has placed unmanageable burdens on state welfare systems, public education systems, and the country's economy. In order to save the U.S. economy, the nation has to eject as many of these illegal immigrants as quickly as possible, they wrote. Okay. So let's take a memory lane trip back to Rex 84. Okay. So let's see. Look, Oliver North's about to be asked about Rex 84, and I don't think he's going to like that very much. Chat.
Colonel North, in your work at the NSC, were you not assigned at one time to work on plans for the continuity of government in the event of a major disaster?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that question touches upon a highly sensitive and classified area, so may I request that you not touch upon that, sir.
I was particularly concerned, Mr. Chairman, because I read in Miami papers and several others that there had been a plan developed by that same agency, a contingency plan in the event of emergency that would suspend the American Constitution. And I was deeply concerned about it and wondered if that was the area in which he had worked. I believe that it was,
may I most respectfully request that that matter not be touched upon at this stage. If we wish to get into this, I'm certain arrangements can be made for an executive session.
So there you go. Very interesting to what's going on today. Maybe, right? And I wanted to say that Billy Ray Valentine brought to my attention he's correct. And the article kind of made it ambiguous that only asylum seekers have the constitutional right to due process. But no, actually, according to rulings for the Constitution or rulings that expanded upon the Constitution through the court system, that anybody here in the United States who's on this soil has the constitutional right to due process. Okay, not just asylum seekers. So here, if we remember correctly, Pete Hegseth, when he was talking about the so-called, DEI manned helicopter, right, that caused the plane crash, which I think the helicopter was just likely automated. Hegseth had made a alluding comment to that it was run by AI, but they blamed DEI. Of course, it's a way to anger the American citizens towards DEI as being the head of the deep state, instead of, this was possibly, and more than possibly, probably a AI malfunction that caused the crash. Okay, but what did Pete Hegseth say? We're talking about continuity of government. Continuity of government, Rex 84. Continuity of government, Rex 2025.
Routine annual retraining of night flights on a standard corridor for a continuity of government mission.
We're just routine training for continuity of government. Maybe. We'll see.
The military does dangerous things. It does routine things on the regular basis. Tragically, last night, a mistake was made. And I think the president...
Yeah. A lot about continuity of government in the QAnon operation, right? 45 to 47. Just saying. A lot of continuity government training would be necessary if the implementation of a Rex 2025 plan, right? It's like there was a lot of continuity government training during the proposed plan for Rex 84, right? Okay. Could just be routine. We don't know. Again, if this comes to fruition, if Rex 2025 or Rex 2026, if there are camps and, eventually, American citizens are put into those camps, if this continues to go the way that it looks like it's going to go, okay, whether it's through FEMA or some sort of private-public partnership, the FEMA camps, the camps finally come to fruition. Maybe that comment about that being routine readiness exercise training was not routine and standard. We'll see. Okay. If this never happens, then it was. If this does happen in the next year or two, within the next year or two, then, well, that's our answer. Okay. And I'm speculating there. Okay. I bet it. All right. So, here is Alex Jones talking about what is occurring with, I'm going to just butcher his name, Kalin Georgescu, who allegedly won the election in Romania, and it's being disputed by the European Union that it was Russian influence. So let's see what Alex Jones has to say right now. Claiming he spoke with his wife, right? The Romanian president-elect's wife. Okay.
Hours after he was on my broadcast yesterday, the real Romanian president, the rightful president, Kalin Georgescu.
Okay, I butcher people's names horribly. Kalin Georgescu. So Kalin Georgescu was on with Alex Jones. The president-elect of Romania was on with Alex Jones. Okay? I don't want to spoil that for you, and I don't want to spoil what he says next. Really listen to this clip. This is exposing Alex Jones very strongly with who he aligns with. Okay, counts for national policy member Alex Jones. Okay.
Was arrested in traffic. They pulled him over. Secret police gave him the documents, and he was going to register for the new election coming up. He won the last election. They admit that. NATO and the EU canceled it. The unelected EU Commission.
And they're whipping up J.D. Vance. They're whipping up Elon Musk. They're whipping up Trump. J.D. Vance warned the EU not to arrest him, warned the EU not to interfere with Romania's election. Okay? We're going to get more about Georgescu a little bit later. There's some very interesting things about him. Alex Jones is about to say something very interesting about him, too. Okay?
Bragged about it, and This is total tyranny. Donald Trump has been pointing it out, so has Elon Musk. Obviously, I have been as well. But this is total tyranny, ladies and gentlemen, and this is what the globalists want, is to use Romania to start a larger war with Russia. They're already a big part of the war and have ground troops for the last 2.5 years in Ukraine. I mean, this is so dangerous. This is so crazy. And it just shows you how this whole globalist combine is absolutely tyrannical. They would love to do what they've done to him, to all of us here. They already tried to put Trump in prison, tried to kill him twice that we know of. We need Trump and Elon Musk to really make a big deal about this and really come to this guy's aid. He is a great guy, high-level former UN diplomat, Club of Rome, top economist, and who...
Great guy, former UN diplomat, former Club of Rome. Great guy. Okay. Maybe he's seen the light. Maybe he's had a great awakening, a false great awakening.
Just for 15 years left their system and has been exposing them.
For 15 years, so that means he left his system, according to Alex Jones, in 2015. Let's see if that's true.
Real insider and a real statesman, and he wants populism and freedom and Christianity and to stop.
Does he? Does he want Christianity? Is he a Christian?
Stop World War III. And so they arrested him. He's in custody right now. I was just talking to his wife and his communications director. We're going to have some people on sometime right after 11 a.m. today, Central, 12 noon Eastern, when my show starts at Alex Jones here on X. But this is a microcosm of what's happening everywhere and what we are facing. His emergency message to President Trump is on Alex Jones right now. His emergency message to Elon Musk he issued.
This is crazy. Emergency message from the Romanian president-elect, okay, is going through InfoWars to the president. A direct pipeline from InfoWars to the president. For Romania to the CMP and CPAC and the Heritage Foundation to Trump's ears. I couldn't make this up if I tried. Alex Jones is fighting for us.
This is just so historic right now. The full interview is also on X, but it's broken in one big piece. It's all there, and then two other pieces. So please get it to share it right now. We just stand with this man.
So now this is what's happening. We literally have Alex Jones being a part of world politics and facilitating the speeches of president-elects to our president. Man, I tell you what, this season of America is wild. This is a wild show to watch. Every day, America's broadcasting something different and false to the masses. This season of America is must-watch and insane. That's what they're trying to sell to the masses. This is crazy. If you don't think this is the externalization of the hierarchy, and it's happening, I don't know what is. You have Alex Jones facilitating messages of a president-elect to Trump. Now, whether that's true or not, that's just not the grand theater of this season of America. You got the script writers. They're like, yeah, let's do this. And a lot of it is Alex Jones's theater, Bill Hicks. I've covered my issues with Alex Jones, from the CMP to his theosophical New Age beliefs. It's wild. It's crazy. Okay, it's crazy. All right. So, let's look at Georgiou real quick. Let's look into him, all right? So, it's likely to emerge a surprise winner of the first round of Romania's presidential elections, an environmental expert, green agenda, and a politician with strong nationalistic views. Born on March 26, 1962 in Bucharest. He graduated from the University of Agronomic Sciences and Veterinary Medicine of Bucharest, specializing in land reclamation and environmental engineering. He furthered his education with a master's degree in land reclamation and a doctorate in pedology, the study of soil. Throughout his career, Georgiou served as the executive director of the National Center for Sustainable Development in Romania from 2000 to 2013. Wow, that's a pretty big stretch of time. In this role, he coordinated with the development of two versions of Romania's National Sustainable Development Strategy, aligning with European guidelines. Internationally, he was appointed executive director of the United Nations Global Sustainable Index Institute in Geneva and Vaduz for the period of 2015-2016. So Alex Jones is already off by a year. Additionally, he served as a president for European Research Center for the Club of Rome from 2013 to 2015. So this guy was definitely in. Okay. Now they claim he's a whistleblower. He's a great awakening whistleblower. He's a critic of NATO. He's pro-Russia. He's talking about conspiracy theories with the Jabber and Convid. And he's our guy. He's on InfoWars. He's a good Christian man. Okay. So let's, from his own words, let's see what he has to say. It's made on a podcast. We have distanced ourselves from the source. The source? Huh. Good Christian man. The source. Not that we distance ourselves from God the Father, Jesus Christ. We've distanced ourselves from the source. Okay. We have lost everything. We just remain stuck in these material things and materially subject to society. I can tell you start is the new cancer. Between this vintage radio, no reference to the radio on the table to the podcast, and the pleasant atmosphere at your place, it contrasts a bit with this dose. Have you looked at what it says on the label? So I tell you there's over 38 ingredients. So how you can drink something with 38 ingredients? It's impossible. So here for sure is exactly what they want to do. The plastic goods have been handed over everything that means nanochips. They enter into you like a laptop and they have control. The piece de resistance is the oligarchic system is control, not money. Huh. Well, that sounds definitely like Great Awakening. That sounds definitely like Maha, right? False Holy Spirit, right? Make America healthy again. I guess that would be Mara, make Romania healthy again. But, the source, right? There is a God, just the source. No Christian would call God the source. That's a New Age term. That's a theosophical term. That's a universalist term. That's even an ancient culture's term for a God, not for the God. Okay. The candidate who garnered over 2 million votes first round garnered their attention for other public statements. For example, he said that during a UN negotiation, he met with another species. Not a human species at all. It seems a bit bizarre. And I don't care what anyone thinks, but I'm telling you, we're not talking about another species. So propagating the false alien deception, propagating maybe David Icke's false reptilian theory, the Theosophist David Icke. So this guy is a straight-up Great Awakening propagandist. So, of course, Alex Jones is going to platform him as himself being a false Great Awakening propagandist, right? You have literally the president of a country, president-elect of a country, Romania, literally talking about nanotech, oligarchic control, and aliens at the UN, and calling God a source, the source. Now, most people say, well, John, you're crazy. He's calling out the enemies. He's a whistleblower. He's a whistleblower, John. Working for the United Nations and the Club of Rome. Literally, Barbara Marsh Hubbard worked for the Club of Rome too, right? The Club of Rome, had a lot of World Future Society members who left it or worked with it, but that's perfectly fine, right? Perfectly fine. Right? He's a whistleblower. Propagating false Great Awakening stuff, tickling people's ears, tickling them. You want your ears tickled because he's telling the truth? They're trying to stop him from being president, John. The EU, the evil EU. Yes, and I have problems with the European Union, okay? All right? We're going to have a North American Union soon, right? But anyway, that's fine for you MAGA people, okay? When, if Trump, annexes Canada. It's interesting. Canada's going to be the 51st state before Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, gave many soldiers, I think more than any other territory, maybe more than any other state during World War I for America. And I understand there's strong Puerto Rican pride and there's a division of whether or not they should become our 51st state or not. I understand that. I have Puerto Rican friends who I dearly love. I get that. But then again, I have also heard at least 2 Puerto Rican friends of mine say, Canada ain't going to become a state before us. Even they're like, I got my Puerto Rican pride. So you have the North American Union, right? Canada talk about, Governor Trudeau, right? Trump annexing Greenland, Trump taking back the Panama Canal, taking back, Trump invading Mexico. All right, the North American Union, MAGA's fine with that, right? But they're against the European Union. European Union bad, North American Union good. The Club of Rome fracturing of the world, right? The 10 kingdoms talked about in the Bible, right? But again, this guy's Club of Rome. The president is against the EU, but he's pro-Trump. So he's pro the North American Union. He's against the EU, but be pro-Trump and de facto pro the North American Union. No longer Club of Rome, but Club of Rome's for these unions. You see, it gets really muddy. And the average person just doesn't have time to think about it. All right? They're blinded by propaganda. They're blinded by their own personal wants and needs. And they think that MAGA and Trump are for them. They're not. But I'm just black-pilled. Black-pilled. Even though I look only to God the Father and Jesus Christ, there are no earthly saviors, I'm depressed. I'm depressed and black-pilled just by pointing you out these inconsistencies, I guess. So, Data Republican on X got doxxed. Okay, and, she's working directly with Elon Musk and DOGE. I've been following her since she was, pushing the polling data during the Trump election. And she claims to be a born-again Christian. If she is, she's just under the grand illusion. Pray for her that she comes out of it. She is deaf. That came out that there was someone from the who was gay but pro-Zionist, a Jewish person who was gay and pro-Zionist who was deaf, outed her because she was in the deaf community. Like, again, narratives, optics. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how much of this is true, how much of this is scripted, but I can tell you that that's the story. Okay. So now we have U.S. Attorney Ed Martin, CMP Ed Martin. Please contact me or my office. Data Republican, we are here for you, Jenica, just like you are here for America, then when we need you the most. It was wrong and illegal to threaten anyone and would not tolerate threat to a federal worker, because she's now working for DOGE. Okay. And look for a future stream on DOGE and the U.S. Digital Service. Okay, that's coming. I join your mother, Data Republican, in awe and appreciation of your excellent work. We got your back. Okay, so she was doxxed. She's allegedly being threatened. I don't know how much she's truly being threatened. Doxing is illegal. I understand that. I'm not for doxing either side. I'm not for progressives being doxxed, and I'm not for, CMPers, conservatives being doxxed, okay? If someone wants to be private on the internet within reason, they should have anonymity and privacy on the internet, because if not, this leads to some sort of digital ID to access the internet, which the Republicans are pushing. So just keeping an eye. Ed Martin bringing down the hammer, who he's bringing down the hammer to, what they're bringing down the hammer for, and just the hypocrisy, because they're fine of doxing on the left. This whole, NSA chat room of degenerates where they're discussing degenerate things on government servers, not public servers, not, and then when we talk about security clearance and if you're compromised from being a degenerate, should you work for a classified position because you could be blackmailed, right? And I know everybody sins. I know everyone falls short, but there has to be a certain amount of rules put in place for people in classified positions. And so, I saw the call for these people to be doxxed, these 100 so odd workers that supposedly Tulsi Gabbard is going to use this to fire them and clean house. And I understand, the discussion of their termination due to them doing this on government servers. But is this just another excuse to further destroy the workforce for AI to come in? Okay. All right. And I've covered Tulsi Gabbard and my issues with her. Okay. But it's just, it's fine with doxing them, but Data Republican gets doxed and U.S. Attorney Ed Martin's right there to do something about it. Okay? The Republicans threatening the degenerates that were in the NSA chat, threatening them, trying to dox them, that doesn't matter to U.S. Attorney Ed Martin because, justice isn't blind to him and only swings one way, which is retribution. That's what I'm trying to get at, is hypocrisy. Okay? Alexander Dugin, the Theosophist, the Russian Theosophist. Rene Guénon is closer to the truth than anybody else in the last centuries. Ooh, wow, boy. Rene Guénon, the Theosophist. Stephen Ketamine Bannon has an affinity for Rene Guénon. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. just cataloging where Dugin stands and who he platform boosts and who he pushes out. Okay. Oh, look, it's Mike Johnson, Zionist Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House for the MAGA Republicans. What's he have to say here?
And the Congress, who could have oversight. The problem is, for decades, as we know, we haven't been able to do that job well, because even though we requested the data and requested the insight, it was hidden. How many of you know that bureaucracy was not forthcoming, right? They're not transparent. That's the whole point. That's the problem. That's the deep state we talk about. So they were hiding from Congress. We didn't know that USAID was funding drag shows in Peru or whatever, transgender operas in Colombia or whatever, It's mad.
Oh, we had no idea. That stuff was publicly... If any of this is true, that stuff would publicly be posted in grants. It wasn't like you could search this data. People were searching this data as Elon Musk was claiming that they were finding it. Like, it was out there for anybody to look at, okay? People reported on this stuff. It's nothing new. But they're always like, oh, look what Elon's found. And that's if DOGE is even doing anything.
Elon has...
As far as actually finding true corruption. Do I believe they're going to lay a whole bunch of people off and put AI in? Very likely, yeah.
Cracked the code. He is now inside the agencies. He's created these algorithms that are constantly crawling through the data, and as he told me in his office, the data doesn't lie. We're going to be able to get the information. We're going to be able to transform the way the federal government works at the end of this, and that is a very exciting prospect. It is truly a revolutionary moment for the nation.
Another talk of revolution, the Second American Revolution. Fourth Industrial Revolution. We're going to get to Trump talking about that in a minute. Maybe that's what Johnson's alluding to. But, Palantir, public-private partnerships, Palantir, giving the government a lot of AI and databases. So he doesn't really have to really crack anything if it's already put in place. Am I right? Elon Musk, we are in the thin horizon of the singularity. Oh, boy. Alex Jones actually agreed with it and liked it. Well, neo-theosophist birds of a feather flock together. Now this is something else here. Oh boy, this is something else here. Well, Donald Trump not only shared this AI video, he pinned it. So we're going to watch it 33 seconds, and then I'm going to comment on it, okay?
You free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
What? Okay, we're gonna break it down. This was pinned. Trump loved this. It was pinned on his Truth Social, casting truth to the ground if he is the Antichrist. Am I right? So we have Gaza. Okay, are the Gazan people eating dead people on the ground? Well, that's horrifically stereotypical and racist. To even allude to, during a war-torn country, they're literally eating dead kids on the ground. But This is definitely pro-Zionist. Kid being chased by a terrorist. What's next? War-torn Gaza, destroyed Gaza, right? So then they walk to this futuristic paradise of towers and yachts and a beach to walk upon, and it's rebuilt. So the tunnels, no longer, the tunnels were, you have the Jewish tunnels of Chabad, but you also have the alleged Palestinian tunnels of how they, move between, Egypt, for example, or how they get into Israel territory to commit terrorist attacks. It's a conventional narrative of the tunnels, right? So now the tunnel is not leading, they're not doing that anymore. Now the tunnel is leading them to some sort of utopian beach, Gaza Strip, right? Like they're going to be there, right? Like the Palestinians are going to exist in Gaza, after this is done, right? This is crazy. Tesla's driving. And Trump Gaza, the light for all to see. Not Jesus Christ, the one and only light to the world. God the Father being the Father of lights, and us having the light of Christ within us as believers, born again Christians, okay? But Trump Gaza, the light for all to see, the golden age of Gaza. Wow. Any Christian who sees this should immediately be like, what? But why I think it's a grand illusion is because you show them this and they just are like, well, Trump just is a baby Christian. He just doesn't know any better.
No more tunnels,
There's Elon Musk
more
eating
fear.
food. No more tunnels, no more fear. So, again, this constant push, I think Days of Noah's cataloged it of, no fear, don't have fear, Oh, wow. Men transgender belly dancers. Well, that's conservative. That's Christian. That's fine.
It's finally here. Trump Gaza.
A golden Trump head balloon by a Palestinian child being held up in peace. And they're all in peace, right? There's no more fear, right?
Shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance.
A golden future, a brand new light. Trump dancing with some sort of belly dancer that's not Melania, cheating on his wife. Fine.
The deal is done.
Elon Musk throwing money in the air to Palestinians or Jews, or probably Jews, right? Because the Palestinians would be serving the Jews that in the tourists that come to the Trump Gaza Strip,
Trump Gaza.
Well, look, it benefits the Arab children. They get money too. So some trickle down economics, right? And look, the Trump Gaza Hotel, the Trump Gaza,
Number one. Trump Gaza, shining bright, golden future.
Oh, a golden idol of Donald John Trump in the Holy Land. A golden idol and a place for Trump to build Trump Gaza. Well, if this happens, and I mean if it happens, do I think it's going to happen? It could. It could, but if it does, would it fulfill in some way Daniel 11:45? And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain, yet he shall come to his end and none shall help him. A Trump Gaza, a Trump golden idol, a palace, a Trump palace between the sea and the holy mountain located in Jerusalem, so between the sea and the city, between the sea and Jerusalem, Gaza. I was talking to Aaron Fochman today from Underground Publishing, and he said, he really wants to be the Antichrist, or they're trying to make him to be the Antichrist, or he will be. Now, Aaron doesn't think that he is, but we'll see. Idols of Trump Gaza and gold that you can buy. Idols of Trump. Busts of Trump.
Feast and dance, the deal is done.
Trump and Bibi in a hotel sharing a couple of drinks, out by the sun, relaxing. The deed is done. Trump Gaza, light to the world. Trump Gaza, the deed is done.
Trump Gaza, number one.
Trump Gaza, number one. Is that a sign of the times? Only time will tell. And in conclusion, if we're talking about the coming fourth industrial revolution, the coming completion of the technocracy, the singularity, our incredible United States economy and undeniable American spirit have enabled the creation of the greatest technology companies on earth. Our digital economy is bigger than most of the world's countries, and the market cap of even our companies exceeds each European country. Instead of empowering their workers and creative opportunities, foreign governments have instead tried to tax, fine, and hinder American tech companies. Both friend and foe have been treating American tech companies harshly as if our companies are the piggy bank. This will now end. It's my objective to level the playing field. And in these attacks, we're putting these countries on notice in their unfair treatment of American companies, large and small. Our companies are the greatest investors in the world, and their investments will only go to where America is treated well. Our ingenuity, grit, drive, and perseverance have built America. If these countries want to participate in the AI industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, it is time to choose sides with America, not against us. Just black-pilled? No, Christ-pilled. Jesus Christ is the only way, the truth, and the life. I believe we're entering into the tribulation, and he will return, and he will tread the winepress alone, and he will destroy the Antichrist, whether it's Donald Trump or not. My hope is in him. Because if, which I do not believe this to be true, God the Father does not exist, the Holy Spirit does not exist, Jesus Christ does not exist, the Bible is not true, if the elites have the technology and the capability to pull off a false revelation, we had no chance to begin with to ever stand against them. Call me black-pilled. That's what, again, that's one of my rhetoric statements to the people that say that revelation is made by them. You're going to see things that if they were able to accomplish and God is not real and this is their final plan, couldn't do anything about it anyway. Now, I don't believe that to be true. I don't. I believe the Bible's true. I believe God the Father is the objective truth of the universe. I believe that Jesus Christ is the one and only Son of God, Son of Man, the Messiah. And I believe in the Holy Spirit, God's Spirit. Take care, everyone. God bless you. There's a video that I post that's in the comment section of every stream on what one must do to be saved. It's never too late as long as you're still alive to repent and believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. Take care, everyone. God bless.